Oh, okay. Welcome, YouTube. Hello, hello, hello. I'm so excited to see you guys. Okay, I'm getting Instagram on and then we'll get started if I can figure this out. Okay, I've come here. Live. Okay. Let's make sure everything is all set. I am now live. Beautiful. Oh, I know. To flip our camera around here. Perfect. Welcome, Instagram. We're on with YouTube and Instagram. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Welcome, 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 everybody who's jumping into the space right now. Yay. Thank you guys so much for being here with me. Thank you, Cincy. Hello, hello. Okay. So just a moment here, everyone. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Filling your lungs up with air. Holding it. And release, grounding into the space, into your body, loosening up as you take another deep breath in, breathing a beautiful golden white light into your heart. That's right. Yes. And release, letting go of any worries, fears, doubts, anything you've been holding on to. And as you breathe in one last big, deep breath, feel the support, feel the safety of this space. Know that you are here for a reason. And release, really just in. Oh, beautiful, guys. Okay, so Robert says, I made it on time working, but listening, thank you for all you do. Thank you for being here, Robert. I appreciate you. I appreciate each and every one of you that has shown up today and everybody that's watching the replays. So I've been getting a lot of questions lately about being a mom and having a business and speaking to I am and following my inner guidance. And what I want to share with you today applies to every single one of you, whether you are a parent, whether you're a female, or whether you've never had a child and you're a male. This applies to you because it's all about our receiving of our guidance and our choosing to listen or not. And so I want to start by sharing a story with you guys. When my daughter, Maddie, who just turned 4, was born, she was a C-section. She wasn't a planned C-section, but things weren't going well. I was in the hospital for 3 days. And this was 4 years ago. It was when I was still hearing I am, but I was saying, no, I'm not going to listen to you. You're not helping me at all. You have these crazy ideas. You want me to go do things. That's scary. So anyway, I had her. I was put to sleep during the C-section. There was a complication and it was not good. And anyway, it all worked out beautifully, which of course I'm so grateful for. But when I woke up, my daughter had not been able to latch on to me for about an hour, and she hadn't been able to be on my chest or even have any sort of connection with me. Which if you haven't had a baby, you know that you want to at least put them, even if you're not going to breastfeed, which I was, but even if you're not going to, you want to put them skin to skin as soon as you can. And so I knew that going in, I really wanted that to happen, and it didn't happen. So of course, as soon as they woke me up, I was very groggy. I didn't know what was going on, but they put her on my chest and she tried to latch on. And then over the course of the next day, now I'm a nurse, and I want to say I have nothing but total respect for every single nurse or doctor or medical professional in the world, because you're not actually ending up doing the job you signed up for. It's a lot different than they sold you in school, and everyone's trying to do their best. And so total respect for all nurses and doctors and every other kind of medical professional out there, because they are trying in most cases, just like everyone is in any profession when you find out that it wasn't what you may have signed up for, right? So Anyway, the nurse that was assigned to help my daughter and me learn how to breastfeed came in. And my daughter was trying. She was trying to get on there and start breastfeeding. And the nurse kept saying, you have to tell her no. You have to take her off and put her back on. And so it didn't feel good, right? So it was like an hour of this nurse being here, basically telling me to yell at my daughter, who was maybe 2 hours old at this point. Now I know from having my son and really standing up for myself and standing in my power that you just have to let them figure it out. And they naturally know how, because this whole process of life is very, very intuitive if we allow it to flow and don't try to control. But this nurse was really trying to control the situation. Now I am in my head saying, Erin, you have to tell the nurse, thank you, leave the room. You have to tell her this. And I was still so stuck in my old programming of fear and doubt and not letting go and allowing to flow that it made me sick, because I could hear I.Am's voice, but I was so afraid. And Phil he had been off for 2 days while I was in the hospital, staying in the hospital with me. So he was not, so maybe this was the day after she was born, but anyway, he was not in the room with me to help me stand up for myself, because Phil never would have let this happen. But I did. And so she had all kinds of problems feeding and whatever moving forward. And I always had a lot of guilt around this. I didn't really understand that this was the inception point of that programming. And it wasn't until I started diving into my own programming, I realized, oh, that incident actually really, really mattered. Now, as parents, as humans, we have incidents in our past where we wish we would have done what we knew what was right, which is often standing up for ourselves and saying, I don't like what you're doing. What you're doing or suggesting I should do, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel intuitive, and I don't want to do it. But we've all had these situations where we look at somebody, especially if they are the perceived expert, right? If they're a doctor, if they're a nurse, and I was even a nurse at the time, but I wasn't a lactation nurse. You know, you look at that expert and you say, well, I have no idea what's going on. Who am I? And you give your power away to the expert. And this could be, it might not be a doctor or nurse, it might be a lawyer, it might be a teacher at your kid's school, it could be anybody. But at the end of the day, hi Ren, welcome. When we choose not to listen to that, knowing that something's wrong, that's where all of the, thank you, Robert. That's where all of the problems really start, and they snowball and they get bigger and bigger and bigger until we either choose to acknowledge that there was something that happened and that maybe we have to address it, or we just let it go forever and we end up drowning our sorrows in other things, whether it's TV or video games or alcohol or drugs or whatever it is. I've been there too in my past, you know, not wanting to see that I had a role in this by not standing in my power. So all that being said, this isn't a story about you need to look at all the things in your life where you didn't stand in your power and beat yourself up about it. The exact opposite, okay? If you can pinpoint a spot in your life where, and this is if you're a mom with your kids, I can tell you a dozen from when my daughter was between 0 and a year old where I gave my power away and didn't stand up for what I felt intuitively as a mom was right, but not just in that situation, in many other situations in my life too, well before my daughter was born. But it's about going back in your mind in those situations and forgiving yourself, because most of us will want to and this is very natural, it's what we've been programmed to do our entire lives, is put the blame on the other person in the situation, right? So this nurse, I could have blamed her. And for a while I wanted to, right? Because my daughter ended up she wouldn't take breast milk out of a bottle. I couldn't work because she wouldn't take a bottle. Phil was bringing her to the hospital I worked at 3 times a day for her to nurse, and that was not sustainable. So I could have blamed this other person. And instead I blamed myself, which we often do. And neither of these is the right reaction when there's a problem. Instead, the thing to do is to go back to that time and send yourself love. Now, lots of teachers will talk about, spiritual teachers will talk about forgiving the other person. It's all about forgiving the other person. And I say that is for somebody, in most cases, that's much higher up the enlightenment mountain than most people are starting at, right? Because when you're just getting comfortable with doing, this is all inner work, going within and starting to recognize what shaped your programming and the programming of the people in your life. It doesn't feel good to forgive people that you're upset with. And so what happens is you just don't, right? Either you try it and you're like, this feels really bad. I don't like this. I don't believe it. I'm not doing it from a genuine place of really feeling this forgiveness. So in that case, it's all about sending love to yourself, sending forgiveness to yourself for not knowing what you know now. Because in this now moment, we are always so much more powerful than our memories show us as being. So we have the power in whatever now moment we're in to change the story that we've shaped in our mind about who we have been. And that's up to us. We have that power. We have that beautiful, amazing power. And it really all starts with forgiving yourself for the things you've been holding on to, the things that have been holding you back and telling yourself, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy enough. I don't deserve whatever it is I want because I've made these mistakes in the past. So this is not specific to moms. This applies to all of us, but I am speaking right now really to the moms that have messaged me. It all comes down to forgiving yourself for all the mistakes you've made, because when you are learning to do something new, and being a mom is a new thing, so this applies to everybody that's ever done anything new in their life. You're not going to be perfect at it in the beginning. You're going to make mistakes as you learn, and that's okay. But if you beat yourself up about it, you'll never grow into your full potential. If you can send yourself love and say, it's okay that I'm not perfect, I'm trying the best I can every day, then you'll change the game for yourself. There is so much guilt out there in the female collective for moms. And it starts with us. We hold a lot of anger and resentment, even if we don't realize it, even if it's boiling under the surface, to our own mothers, because they weren't perfect for us. And then we pass that programming onto our children by not being perfect for them. And even when we don't mean to, we have resentment buried down deep inside for our children because we don't feel good enough for them. We don't feel like we're showing up as our best selves for them. And it can destroy our relationship with them. So the number one thing you can do as a mom is to tell every day, and I'm proud of myself for showing up, striving to be the best mom you can, but not to blame yourself. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. Send yourself love and move forward, coming from your guidance, doing what feels right to you for yourself and your children. So again, this applies to everything, not just being a mom, but it's also excellent advice for mothers. So I hope that was so helpful for you guys. I know for me, it has been transformative. It has given me a lot more freedom to have fun with my kids instead of wanting to make everything perfect. So I think that's just really, really powerful. If anybody wants to chat or send me a question, I'd be delighted to interact a little bit more. Let me go back and see if I missed anything. So awesome to see all you guys. I really, really appreciate your presence. I feel your love. Okay, well, then I guess I'll go. I feel like I want to stay on here all day. Like I just feel this beautiful love coming from you guys. And I'm so, so grateful that we are all showing up for ourselves in this space because we really are all in this together. We really, really are. Oh, okay. So now we've got some stuff coming through. Cool. Okay. So I'll talk a little bit. Okay. So first thing here is, but yeah, but first, we really are all in this human experience together. And so much of our programming says we have to figure it out on our own, and that's not true. That's actually not really how it works. We are all expanding together, and especially the people that want that, right? And helping each other to grow into our next level. So Ren says, how does this influence how we interact with our inner child? Well, yeah, it's everything. It's so whether you're going back a year in time to do forgiveness work for yourself, or if you're going back 30 or 40 or 50 years to when you were a child to do forgiveness work for yourself, it's the same thing. Because who I was and who you were a week ago is so much younger than you are now, right? In this now moment is your ultimate truth, and everything that happened before, in my opinion, is childhood. It was where you were growing into being who you were now. So this is inner child work. And whether it was 2 weeks ago, that's your inner child. So I hope that helps. This is the inner child work. And I don't call it inner child work because I think that any moment that is now this not moment is a moment to send love to ourselves. And that's what inner child work is essentially. I mean, I've never looked it up, but from what I've heard about it, that's what it is. You are mothering or fathering yourself in the way that no one else did. Just bringing yourself back to those memories that you have of pain in your past, keep showing up because they need to be released. That's why these things are in your head swirling around, and they're blocking your channel, blocking your guidance, all these thoughts up there. And so the more you can release, the more you clear your channel. Okay, oops. I needed to hear that. Thank you. I had a similar experience with my son being born and felt that mom guilt. Yes, the mom guilt is so, so, so real. And it doesn't, it is safe to start releasing it. So I'm so, so glad that was powerful for you. Okay, Robert, thank you. Thank you for being here, especially at work. Cincy Dark says, how do you talk to yourself? Well, I think that's a good question because we tend to think, myself included, there's like a million spiritual teachers out there, right? Especially if you're on Instagram or YouTube like I am. There's so many, and they all have a slightly different method, right? And tell you, oh, this is how I connect, so it's the one way. But the truth is, the ways to connect with yourself are infinite. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but basically because this reality we're in isn't really real, it's just the simulation. And so anything we think becomes, especially within our mind. So talking to yourself is all about starting a daily practice of spending 5 to 15 minutes a day asking yourself a question. Ask yourself a question and then speak the answer out loud, either into like a voice recording app or journal it out without any judgment, right? Without saying, oh, I don't know if this is true. I don't know where this is coming from. What's going on here? Am I doing this right? Because all that's going to come. But if you ask yourself a question and just let the answer come out, then after you've done that, after you've recorded it or written it out, then you can go back on in with your judgment hat and you say, okay, is all of this coming from telling me I'm a limited being? Or is some of it telling me I might be limitless and I might have worth? Is all of this telling me I'm not good enough? Or is there a little part of this that's telling me that my dreams might be possible? So when you start doing this, you start seeing, okay, most of the chunks in the beginning is probably going to be telling you you're crazy, you're not good enough, this isn't going to work. And a few things will tell you that you are, that anything is possible for you. So it's all about this daily practice of beginning to ask yourself one question a day. And if you do only that for 30 days, you will really start getting your guidance. So all these other things, I just had somebody that's inside of Unlimited You, as she just started like a week and a half ago, and she just asked me this question. She's like, I'm doing this, 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 and this, and it doesn't seem like it's working yet. Well, first of all, it does take a little bit of time. It took you however many years to get here where you're feeling blocked. It's going to take, it took me about 30, 40 days. It takes most people about that time. Now, some people have already been doing a lot of work and it happens much, much faster for them. Some people, they just read my book, One Truth, One Law, and instantly they're like, oh, okay, I've already been doing this. I just didn't recognize it for what it was. So we're all in a different place in our journey back to our truth, and that's okay, right? But I haven't seen it fail for anybody that has given it 30 days of every single day asking yourself a question, like an open-ended question, not yes or no question, because that's not going to give you your thoughts so that you can start talking to yourself. But if you ask yourself, what should I do next with my life? What is my life purpose? Something that's open-ended, or something like that, then you can start seeing, and you'll notice how the answers actually start shifting over time, and will become less and less about your fears and doubts and more about what might actually be possible for you. Okay, Robert says, I have been doing as you have said, and it works well. I embrace myself as a kid, and that makes me a better person than it was just learning experience. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Robert. I really appreciate that. Yeah, because I think that's such an important point, is when we are really into reading books or hearing wisdom from other people, we can start to intellectually understand how the universe works and see that it's possible, maybe. But it's not till you go out there and you actually start taking the time to put yourself into it and actually start experiencing it and doing the things that it will take to experience it, do you really start knowing on a deep level. Because there's a lot of people that read books and can understand and can talk about intellectually these concepts, that have never done the work to go within and really feel it and know it. And those are just fears and doubts telling you, well, I know enough intellectually, I don't have to go do the work, or that's not necessary. That's just another level of programming. So I appreciate you sharing that, Robert. I've seen that over and over again, how when we just understand things intellectually, it really does keep us in that fear and doubt. We really have to start having our own personal experience that we're coming from, that allows us to really open to that next level and really start expanding into knowing. And that brings us then more into the flow, into the ease, into really letting go and trusting, which is everything. So I'm going to leave it at that. I thank each and every one of you for being here with me today, and I hope to see you guys all soon. Have a beautiful rest of your day, rest of your week, rest of your year, rest of your life. I love you all. Bye-bye. Video. Bye, guys.